project for this video. Let's build a zoo for every single animal in Minecraft, meaning I have to find and build an enclosure for 33 animals, some much easier to bring back than others. This video took me more than a month to make and 300 plus Minecraft days. So if you want to see more projects like this, consider smashing the subscribe button and leaving a big thumbs up. All that said, let's jump into it. So the very first animals I'm gonna add to my zoo are actually gonna be the goats. Here are the goats. I'm gonna try to get that goat. Now I actually have to figure out where I'm going to build my zoo because I've got my frog kingdom right here, so I can't do the zoo there, and I've got my house here, so oh my god, got a flying goat right there. As I'm really not interested in terraforming this entire meadow, I'm going to burn the entire birch forest to have a flat terrain to work on. I'm really sorry to anyone that loves birch forests, but yeah, it has to be done. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling bad for the trees right now. After burning down an entire birch forest and using up 10 flint and steel, I finally started gathering resources for the enclosure. I actually came by this cave when strip mining, and I actually found some diamonds there, which was pretty cool. And then I got the lag where you can see through the walls, and I felt this was extremely illegal. I also went to collect a bunch of snow and just filled up my inventory. And I felt a bit bad because I completely destroyed the biome. Once I was ready to build, I decided to select my block palette, so I chose mainly snow, stone, and spruce. So I'm going to start off by tracing out where I want the enclosure to be. Let's do a little bit of terraforming. So now that the area is all terraformed, and I see we've got some guests, hello. So yeah, as you can see, I have terraformed, and I have actually left this area here, because basically I want to build two mountains. So I've got one of the mountains done, and I'm going to repeat the process right here. Once I was done with the mountains, I started working on the rest of the enclosure, so I added a few rocks, and for the ground, I decided to use a bit of podzol and coarse dirt. And finally, I also decided to make some custom spruce trees, and obviously I added a cauldron and some hay for the goats to eat and drink. To keep the goats in the enclosure, the best solution I found was the lead, because goats can jump 10 blocks high, and I really didn't want to have a huge wall all around the enclosure. The goat enclosure is done, only 32 enclosures left. Yes. So the next animal we're gonna do is the axolotl. I actually already had an axolotl, but I liked having him in the house with me. Therefore, I decided I would go find two new axolotls. So I headed over to the lush cave I'd found, and luckily I spotted a yellow and a brown axolotl. I also collected some drip leaves, clay, glowberries, and a few spore blossoms. So the very first thing I want to do is make the axolotls comfortable. So I'm going to kind of make them a little pond so they can just swim around while I build the rest of their enclosure. So yeah, the pond will be kind of this size, and then I'm just going to place some moss and some clay all around. I went to mine some quartz in the nether to repair my shovel, and then I went to mine an amethyst geode, like that I could use the blocks and the crystals to decorate the enclosure, and I completely covered the bottom of the pond with clay. I decided I would build an XP farm out of the skeleton spawner I had found in episode 1. I got some soul sand, and now all I needed was kelp. I've come all this way and there's actually no kelp. Oh dear. But you know what? I'm gonna get some corals at least. By the way, I cannot wait to have to bring back a dolphin and a squid to the zoo. I mean, that's gonna be so much fun. Now that I had everything, it was time to start building. So obviously I did follow a tutorial because yeah, I'm not a professional at inventing XP farms, and I followed the awesome tutorial of Shulkercraft, who is an incredible YouTuber. He's got loads of super helpful and entertaining videos. So yeah, if you don't already know him, I really recommend you check him out. While I was building the farm, I actually came across some diamonds, which was awesome, and finally the farm was done and it was working pretty well. I even made a water elevator to get back up quickly, and to get back down, I just have to jump, and fingers crossed I will land in some water. It was now time to get back and finish the axolotl enclosure. Next, let's move on to the wolves. So obviously I won't put my own wolves in the enclosure because they're not wild anymore. And by the way, for the names, I chose Peanut for the red one and Snow for the yellow one. By the way, I will try to get 2 animals for each enclosure if I can, and that will actually add a difficulty. For example, when bringing back the dolphins, I'm gonna have to deal with 2 dolphins, so yeah, that's gonna be super fun. Obviously, my shovel has run out of health, so I'm gonna go on a quick trip to the XP farm. Sorry for the bad joke. Tell me in the comments if I got you. Whoops. Once I was done with all the terraforming, I decided to make a sort of glass window where people can have a look at the wolves. And for the enclosure, I actually made a little river with a waterfall, and I added a bit of puzzle and gravel everywhere. And I also worked on a few custom spruce trees to really give the taiga feel to the enclosure. There will basically be a little entrance right here where you can have a look at the wolves behind the glass. I even added a bench for anyone who's a bit tired. And then to be able to actually feed the wolves, I made this little trap door there. I can just go down and it leads to this door, and I can just, give some food to the wolves, etc. Time to work on the next enclosure, the pigs. So obviously, first of all, I'm gonna go find some pigs. So I've got one, now I just need to find another. Here's another pig, perfect. I've just installed a data pack and you're gonna see it's pretty cute. So yeah, basically when a pig walks on mud, look what happens. Yay! It's really cute. If you're wondering, this data pack is called Muddy Pigs and it was made by the Mobo. So here is the block palette for the enclosure. Of course, there's a bunch of mud, but first I need to go repair my tools. So you may be wondering what I am doing inside the Frog Kingdom with Beatrice on her throne. Well, basically, I realized my shovel was losing way too much health, so I'm gonna enchant a new one with Unbreaking, and I'm gonna merge the enchants together. I finished off with the muddy area. What is that pig doing? Stop it. And now I'm gonna start working on the slightly drier area with the shelter and all. And I'll probably, have a few carrot and potato crops so that there will be a clear contrast between the muddy fun area and the more refined dry area. And here is the finished result. Next, let's do the pandas. So yeah, right over there is a bamboo forest, so hopefully I will find a panda or two. And there they are. Well, they weren't very hard to find, but my guess is they'll be much harder to actually bring back. Oh, and I thought the Enderman was a second panda, but no. Oh, and I found another panda with a parrot. Nice. I decided to tame the parrot, and I actually got spooked by a creeper when I was collecting seeds. Whoa! I then found a second parrot, and finally we all made our way back to the zoo. But things turned very sour. I arrived back to the mangrove and went through the portal with all the animals, but my game started lagging like crazy. And then, when I logged out of the world, it got totally corrupted and I was eternally stuck on the loading world screen. Thankfully, I had made a copy earlier on, so I was able to get back into the world, but I still hadn't done the wolf and the pig enclosure at that point. So yeah, time to build them all over again. By the way, great tip, always make copies of your worlds in case they get corrupted because it happens more than you think. So yeah, wish me luck. I'm honestly looking on the bright side there, but I'm going to explode inside. I guess I'll see you in a few hours, even though for you it's just going to be a few seconds. I mean, lucky you. As you can see, I finished the wolf enclosure, so it's time to get these guys in. So yeah, the wolves are finally released to their second enclosure. So if you're wondering, I actually made it a bit different. So instead of making the glass here, I actually made a cave here, and the glass area where people can have a look is actually here now. For the pigs, I built a slightly different enclosure, so I mainly just changed the shack and I also made the mud area way bigger because I thought it was nice for the pigs. To kind of relax after rebuilding two entire enclosures, I actually went to see my own pet bunnies. So I decided to thank them in a way I would do the bunny enclosure right before the panda enclosure. Of course, I gave them some hay and some carrots, and then I went to get two brown bunnies from the meadow and welcome them to their new home. Now that the rabbit enclosure was done, I decided I would start working on the path between the enclosures, and honestly, just having a path made the zoo look way more like a zoo. It's time to start working on the panda enclosure. So for the block palette, I'm obviously gonna use everything I can find in the jungle, so jungle leaves, cocoa beans, melons, and of course, some bamboo. Okay, guys, it is time to go towards the zoo. Now, what are they doing? I'm quite happy with the variety of enclosures because it makes the zoo look more interesting, having very different themes for each enclosure. I temporarily put the pandas in the axolotl enclosure and then I started the work. I went to the XP farm to repair my tools, and after that, I decided I would make a river going through the panda enclosure. Once I was done with all the decorations in the enclosure, I started working on the fence and I actually decided to use some glass so that we could have a look at the river and the pandas inside. So now let's get these pandas in their enclosure. By the way, if you want, you can leave some names for some of the animals, but I mean, there are going to be so many that it's going to be hard to remember, but yeah, we can try. Why'd you have to do that? There, 3 large. I will give them a little welcome gift. Well, I hope you're gonna have a nice time in your new enclosure. Next, I want to work on a very exotic enclosure. I'm actually going to work on the hoglin enclosure. I actually haven't found a crimson forest yet, so that's gonna be interesting. Finally, a crimson forest. And yes, it is quite far from my nether portal, which is going to be so fun. Yay. I will be your future mummy, and I will build you a great enclosure. And please don't kill me. That's all I'm asking. Oh dear. I'm not sure I really want you here, to be fair. It was now time to start building the super long tunnel all the way back to the portal. I even made a fenced up area around the portal to be sure I won't get killed, and I will add some carpets so that I can jump out just in case. So my plan is to have this little fenced up area and hopefully they will follow me and I'll just have to jump out using the carpet, so hopefully it'll go as planned. So now, let the stress begin. I really don't want things to go wrong, but I know there will be a problem. I mean, logically. So I've got a mummy and her baby, and of course, only the baby saw me. Great. I hate this. Come on, mummy. Come on, mummy. No, we've got only the baby. Oh, and by the way, I know that they're going to turn into zombified hoglins. Hopefully, it still counts as a hoglin, even though they have a different skin. Oh, no, guys. Leave my baby alone. Leave my baby alone, guys. I had not thought about this, to be fair. Okay, great. Could you move out of the way, guys? Please. Oh, no, don't tell me they're afraid of portals. Oh, no. Yeah, I've got to block him up somehow. Come on. No! Oh, I'm never gonna manage. This is not going as planned. I'm gonna put this lead on you. Don't be scared. Come on, baby, you can do it. Oh my god, I made it. Now that I had one baby zoglin, it was time to get a second one. I don't want to get ambushed. Okay, I'm gonna get ambushed. There he is! This is actually not as scary as I thought it would be. I love the little ears. Okay, so now I do the lead and off you go. Yay, perfect. So now that they're here, I'm gonna get Silk Touch on my pickaxe and then I'm gonna build them their very own enclosure back at the zoo. So we have a little issue, guys. Basically, the zombified hoglins have despawned, meaning I need to get them some name tags, so that's going to be fun to do. Thankfully, I had already found a mine shaft, so I went to explore. Oh, and we've got a spawn right here. Awesome. Oh, great. That's not what I wanted. And of course, no name tags. Great. Well, that's going to be good for the Ender Dragon fight, but there aren't any name tags. This is not going in my favor at all. Oh wait, did I say it was not going in my favor? No, not at all. Of course it is. Perfect. Okay, are you going to be the lucky one? Yay! Okay, perfect. So we have at least one hoglin. And we've got some more diamonds there. Perfect. Is that dude in an elevator or something? It's going really slow. I'm realizing I need to get fortune on my pickaxe soon. And he's still going. When I got home, I immediately got Silk Touch, and then it was time to start building the Hoglin enclosure. So first of all, I did some terraforming because the terrain was not flat at all, and then I traced the outline with some cobblestone and filled everything up with some netherrack. After that, it was time to get a brand new Hoglin because the other two had despawned. So yeah, let's get to it. Would you like to come to my zoo? Don't tell me you're stuck. Oh my god. Come on. Yeah, this is way less relaxing. I mean, the ears are still very cute, but yeah. No offense, but I much prefer your kids, okay? I am loving this so much. Oh, I hate this. Okay, I hate this. Quick, 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 quick. How under... okay. So, that lead right there. Oh dear. No, no! Don't attack each other. Okay, well, that lead over there. Hey, let me look at the lead. Stop. Stop it. Let me stop. Okay, that lead, well, that lead I will never get ever again. So yeah, I'm gonna name him Barry because, I don't know, it just suits him perfectly. Just the friendly neighborhood Barry that doesn't want to kill me. No, I'm just putting this name tag on you. Lovely, lovely. At one point, the Wandering Trader spawned, and one of his llamas died. I don't really know why, but I decided to keep the other for the llama enclosure. The problem was brand new carpet on his back, and honestly, he looked awesome. I then continued working on the Hoglin enclosure, so I just spread crimson allium everywhere using some bone meal, and then I bone meal some crimson fungi to make these sort of mushroom trees. And finally, I decided to fence up the enclosure with some glass because I really wanted to see if Barry actually despawned or not. That was quite important. And now it's time to welcome Barry in his enclosure. Barry? No, you've got to take the stairs, Barry. Yes, okay, 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 okay. Okay, now get out. Whew, okay, we have made it. So I'm going to work a bit on flying animal enclosures. So for the bee enclosure, I will be needing quite a bit of glass because it will be fully enclosed or else the bees can just fly away. So I am back in the desert next to the mangrove, just getting a ton of sand. At that point, I realized that I should really terraform in front of my house, like that I could actually add some enclosures there, and also I'd be able to see the zoo a bit better. To try and solve the name tag problem, I actually made an automatic fishing farm, and I got the tutorial from a friend of mine, Jay Wiz. I had actually made a video with him a year ago, and honestly, he is super friendly and his videos are awesome. So I recommend you check his channel out. Okay, so now we're done with the enclosure. Let's move on. No, just kidding. For the bee enclosure, I basically put down some beehives and loads of flowers. And in the center, I made a custom birch tree and I actually put some bee nests on it. I then made a dome out of glass. Well, it doesn't really look like a dome, but yeah, at least the bees can't escape. I put some slabs at the very top, but actually, what I'm planning in the future, once I get enough honey, I will fill the top with honey blocks and just pretend the enclosure is a jar full of honey. That's it for the bees. Now it's time to move on to the parrots. First of all, I went to get the parrots I tamed, and then I started working on their enclosure. So I planted a few jungle trees, I bone mealed the ground, added some melons, and to make sure the parrots can't fly away, I built something that represents a giant glass bell placed on top of the enclosure. And to make things more fun for the parrots, I actually made some little places where they can perch from time to time. I thought it really added something fun to the enclosure. Next, let's do the llamas. First, I'm going to AFK a bit at the fishing farm in the hopes of getting a name tag. I was working on the llama enclosure and then I spotted this. There's basically just a skeleton. What? It disappeared? Okay, I'm so confused. Oh well. That was really weird. So for the enclosure, I did something a bit similar to the goats. So I made two stone mountains in the center. And of course, I added a ton of hay because llamas adore hay. I then went to get the Superman llama and almost killed him. Oh, he did not manage to follow me. Oh dear. And finally, I went to get a few trader llamas I'd been collecting. So yeah, of course, all these llamas, I had to walk super far to get them. It was really difficult. They are not trader llamas. No, no, no. So I realized we've been doing quite a few land animals, well, apart from the axolotls. So I was thinking, why not challenge ourselves to the maximum and build a dolphin enclosure? So I've got several problems for the dolphin enclosure. Number one, I don't have any name tags. I've been fishing for hours and I didn't get anything, which is a little bit annoying. Second of all, how on earth am I going to get a dolphin alive in my zoo? So first of all, I had to solve the name tag situation. First of all, I had to fish in open water, which means I wasn't AFK for hours. And I did get some treasure, but no name tags. Perfect. So I decided to go in every single cave I could find. And actually, I managed to find a zombie spawner. There weren't any name tags. And then I found a skeleton spawner, and thankfully, there was a name tag there. I also came across a mine shaft, and I was lucky enough to find several name tags, and I also freed this chicken from a zombie. Next, I started building the dolphin enclosures, so I dug a large hole, covered the bottom with sand, and then placed some water everywhere. I added a few decorations, and now all I needed was to make a sort of river going from the ocean over to the enclosures. So yeah, that took quite some time. And now it's time to get these mighty dolphins. Obviously, the ocean nearby was a cold ocean, meaning no dolphins spawn in it. So I had to travel super far, and finally I found a normal ocean. Dolphins, I don't know why, they were so hard to get. Slowly. Ah! I carefully made my way back home. The dolphins were really easy to lead through the ocean. And then it was time to bring them up the river. This was one of the most stressful moments of this video. But other than that, everything went pretty well, and here is the final enclosure. Next, we are gonna do the trio cow, sheep, and chicken. I started off with the cow enclosure, so I decided to give it a sort of autumn feel. So first of all, I planted some huge spruce trees to get a ton of wood and some podzol, and then I added a bunch of pumpkins and I used sea pickles to make the stem, and finally I added a cauldron of water and some hay. For the chicken enclosure, I decided to make a huge wooden bird cage. I was inspired by Talona Backley. I hope I'm pronouncing it well. I really like the fact that it stood out from most of the other enclosures. And finally, for the sheep enclosure, I decided to keep it quite simple and mainly focus on the grass because sheep adore grass. So I just put some everywhere in the enclosure, and I of course added some hay and a custom tree. Now it's time to work on the cat and the ocelot enclosure. I went over to the jungle and managed to find two ocelots, and I also decided to bring back two parrots for the enclosure. Like that, they could fly around freely. When I got back in the overworld, all the ocelots escaped, so I managed to get two and I put them in the llama enclosure while I went to look for some cats. First of all, I went to get the cat from the very start of the video, the goat cat. And I also found a Siamese cat by the village. The ocelot enclosure obviously had a jungle theme. I just, recreated the jungle with some melons, leaves, trees, etc. And for the cat enclosure, I actually decided to use some acacia trees to give a savanna feel to the enclosure. I was kind of pretending like the cats were lions. I went over to the llama enclosure to get the ocelots, and of course, they had despawned. So I went over to the jungle near my house, I got an ocelot, I even gave him some fish hoping he wouldn't despawn. And for the cats, I decided I would tame one to be sure he wouldn't despawn and let the other one roam free. Next, it was time to work on the frog enclosure, so it wouldn't be as nice as the frog kingdom I'd made in the previous episode. So I went for a glass bottle with a mangrove tree inside and a little pond. And then I went to get 3 frogs from the kingdom to put them in that tiny enclosure. I mean, 4 frogs. This is the Irish flag. Oh my god, green, white, and orange. They're the Irish gang. Well, there we are. We've got the Irish gang back in their little bottle enclosure. Now it's time to do the striders, which are actually one of my favorite Minecraft animals. So I went down to a lava lake to get some, and I actually came across the Nether Fortress. So I'll definitely explore it in the next episode. I then led the striders all the way back up to the portal. Get off of here with your block. Yeah, that's what I thought. I did struggle a tiny bit, and I was stressing out that they wouldn't go through the portal for some reason, but they did, and all went well. I was really terrified